This episode is brought to you by our friends at Unibuddy. Unibuddy is a student engagement platform that helps higher education recruitment, marketing, and admissions professionals attract, engage, and convert prospective students. Unibuddy helps students make one of the most important purchasing decisions of their entire life, and that decision is where to go to college. One of the ways they do this is by giving prospects real-time access to real people at your university. Here's how it works. A prospective student named Sam stumbles upon your school's business major website page, and he starts reading about your program offering. After a few seconds, a warm pop-up form invites Sam to chat with student ambassador Dan, who, you guessed it, is currently studying business at your university. After some quick niceties, Sam admits he's been looking at your school for some time now, but has yet to submit a formal inquiry or start an application. He's been to a couple of virtual recruitment events, but it's been hard to get a real feel for what life as a student, especially during these times, is actually like. Dan talks about his love of the entrepreneurship course he's taking, how challenging but rewarding Accounting 101 is, and how impressed he's been with your school's response to the challenges that COVID has thrown everyone's way. After 15 minutes of chatting with Dan, Sam books a chat with one of your admissions counselors for next week, and then he goes on to create an application account. This experience is so much more powerful than a static chat window or a scripted chatbot. Unibuddy empowers people to make better decisions through shared human experience. Oh, and by the way, this peer-to-peer engagement platform, it's just one of Unibuddy's product offerings. Wait until you see their virtual events platform. It's totally game-changing. Don't get stuck in a prospective student's college shopping cart. Make the experience of accessing personalized peer-to-peer feedback as frictionless as possible. To learn more about Unibuddy and access a plethora of free resources to help you navigate student recruitment this year, head on over to enrollify.org/Unibuddy, and we'll ping you directly to Unibuddy's Learning Hub.
But we know that not each program can be its own brand. It can't even be its own self-brand unless you have massive amounts of financial and human resources you can put behind it. And then the other issue is, we are called upon to do the fourth P of marketing, which hopefully everybody's familiar with the 4 Ps, which is promotion. But really, this is about the product. Our programs are our products. So how do we
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. Zach here, and today I am sitting down with Kin Sejpal, who is from the Rochester Institute of Technology. How are you doing today, Kin?
I'm great. It's sunny and warm outside, and I am loving it. How are you, Zach?
Good. I don't even think I haven't told you this. We just started recording, but I don't know how far I am from you, but I'm actually in Ghent, New York right now. How far is that from Rochester? Do you know? Do you have any idea? I think I'm like south of Albany, like by 40 minutes or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I am about 3 hours from Albany, I believe.
Okay, so pretty far. Okay. A little closer than DC, which is where I normally am.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, I first and foremost, thanks so much for connecting. It's been fun following you on Twitter and getting to learn a little bit about you and how you think through your tweets. So I've appreciated that. But really excited for our conversation today. And in order to kind of kick things off and just start the party here, I have a question for you that I like to ask folks who have been in the game for a little bit, that have seen sort of marketing kind of grow and change and evolve over a period of time. So the question I have for you is, can you remember the very first time that you were marketed to? Like, what was the product or service, and what was the brand behind that product and service? And if you can't remember the very first time, what's a product or service from a brand that you do remember kind of early on recognizing, you know what, I think I'm being marketed to?
Yeah, I Well, this was a long time ago, obviously, and it was when I was in India because that's where I was born and raised. So one of the brands I remember very clearly because they were advertising everywhere was Pepsi.
Okay.
They were sponsoring any and all events. They had billboards, they were on television, and their strategy was really using famous people as their spokespeople and having them endorse the product.
Hmm.
And I was like, I wonder if so and so celebrity really drinks Pepsi all the time. And so that was my little bit of curiosity, but also like I felt like, okay, something's amiss here because I'm pretty sure that's not all he drinks. And
Yeah.
so
Hey,
I was
you
being
don't
so
look
naive.
yeah, you don't look like that if all you do is drink Pepsi.
Right? Absolutely. It wasn't even Diet Pepsi. It wasn't, yeah, it wasn't. I don't even know
Like
if there's a
Pepsi
healthy
Zero or whatever.
Pepsi.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I definitely was like, oh, if he's drinking it, maybe I should try it too, because at the time there was such a fan following for famous people. I think there still is, but I think people see through that a little bit more now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like, oh yeah, if he's driving this, it must be good. It must be a good car, kind of an idea.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I feel like oftentimes we talk about influencer marketing as if it's like this still like relatively new thing. And I'm always like, no, influencer marketing has been around for freaking ever. Like, do you remember like, every TV show, like I remember growing up, any commercial, right? Like they'd have a celebrity promoting Pepsi or promoting, Toyota, whatever the brand was. This idea of influencer marketing isn't new. It's just that now like it seems like everyone believes that they can be an influencer, or it's been like
Right.
democratized a little bit to the average Joe. But yeah, that's funny. That's
But
a
the
good
good
one.
thing now is they actually have to specify, at least on social media, that it's a paid partnership,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm glad that they do that and there's some rules around it because otherwise it's like, okay, Brad Pitt, he loves this and that's all he drinks, but until you read the fine line or fine print.
my
If you will.
favorite is every once in a while, there's still like an influencer that I'll see like on Instagram or something where they'll say the name of the product wrong. Right, like and these are like these are the ones with like a massive following, and it's like they probably just get free stuff constantly, right? And
Uh-huh.
it's just always funny to me. Like Athletic Greens was doing this whole like promo for. It felt like everybody like on Instagram who was like had more than like 1,000 followers was like promoting Athletic Greens during this period of time. And anyways, there was an influencer that promoted Athletic Greens, and I started following them, and then I watched a few of their other ads over promos over a period of time, and I just watched them like totally botch like the name of like some like lotion brand or something like that. And anyways, it was just funny seeing like, you know, first and foremost how much especially like D2C brands have come to like rely on influencers, but then also just
Mm-hmm.
how, you got to be really clear and direct with these people because they could be hurting your brand more than they're actually helping it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think you have to select them carefully and you have to make sure they understand your product or service. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not as easy as it seems.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, getting us a little bit back on track here. Sorry for that tangent, but great example with Pepsi there. So you are the associate vice president of University Marketing Strategy and Creative Services at RIT, which for those who might not be familiar is the Rochester Institute of Technology. So that's such a cool like epic title. And I'm one of those
It's a
people that
mouthful.
it is a mouthful. I'm one of those people where it's like I don't care a lot about my personal title, but I really appreciate people's titles, and like I really like understanding like the why behind the particular words that were selected for that title. And I feel like over the last like decade in particular, we've gotten a lot more creative, especially in marketing with like how we position ourselves and like the roles that we have of people on our team. So in order to help us kind of better understand what that actually means and you know what your roles and responsibilities actually are. I thought it would be fun if you like pulled up your calendar and just like, you know, whether it's earlier this week or last week, just like start like rattling off the different like things that were on your agenda, that were on your calendar, to help us get a better sense of what you actually do all day.
Okay, that's fun and interesting. Well, the next few days or weeks, I will be on vacation. So there's a giant block of time that is empty, which is awesome.
Wonderful.
So I will go back in time a little bit, and let's see, things I will call out here. Well, obviously a lot of meetings, but with the type of meetings, I guess they're working on our next flight of our reputation campaign. We are working on organizational assessment, so I had a meeting about that and kind of seeing how the report is coming along. I blocked some time to do some AMA proposal review, so I'm on the AMA committee, the symposium committee, and I'm reviewing some proposals to be selected for that. Some one-on-ones with people that I'd like to stay in touch with, not necessarily on my team, but people that, you know, we have global campuses, so I meet with them on Zoom, of course, once a quarter, etc. And just projects, and just pre-meeting to meeting and post-meeting after that meeting. Meeting with the enrollment management counterparts, and strategizing our weekly agenda for what we are seeing in terms of numbers, etc. So I don't know how it's long, Zach.
There's a lot of
there's
meetings.
like 8 meetings a day on an average.
Wow.
So I could go on, but
you
probably don't want to know that.
No. This is great. Do you have like a pregame like meeting, like, you know, like mantra that you say to yourself, or like do you have any? I'm always impressed because I'm in a fair number of meetings in a week, but most of like my meetings are really like conversations like this, right? Like I'm sitting down and I get to talk to somebody for an hour. So it's an interview, it's a meeting, and it certainly requires, you know, focus and it requires you to be on, but it's very different than like discussing a project, right? Or talk or you know, a one-on-one with a team member. So I'm always curious for people that are in leadership that have so many meetings in a given week, like how do you do it and then also still like do your work, or like how do you approach the meeting so that like you're ensuring that meeting was successful, like that it did the job that it was supposed to do? Do you have any like, you know, tricks up your sleeve that you could share with us?
I don't know that I have anything new to contribute here. I do know that I have started saying no to meetings that really don't fit the core of my priority list, and perhaps maybe down the list of things that I should know about or I may want to know about, but I don't have to know about. I'm also trying to work through the meeting duration. So a lot of my 1-hour meetings, I'm like, these could really be done in lesser time.
Yeah.
If we get efficient with that. So either those are 30 minutes or 45 minutes, what have you. And then, you know, it's just making sure people understand that and don't come to expect you to be responsive immediately. And if they want immediate answers for things, that they know how to reach me. So if I am in too many meetings and at the same time, you know, I have some things to get to, I'll make sure I've communicated that or canceled or moved some of my meetings. So, and then preparation where possible. You know, if I'm leading a meeting, I'm definitely going to be more prepared for what I want the outcome and state that at the beginning of it. And if I'm participating. I will just make sure I understand
Why you're
just
there.
yeah, what are they hoping to get out of me, so I don't overstep or I'm not, passive either. So yeah, I don't know if there's any tricks here that perhaps other people don't already use. It's just taking day to day, but definitely no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
So I can say that, which is what makes it fun for me. I actually enjoy that.
Hey, all, Zach here from Enrollify. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, admissions, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks that are all designed to empower you to become a better higher ed professional. Our shows feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Mickey Baines, Jeremy Tiers, Jamie Hunt, Corinne Myers, Jamie Gleason, and many, many more. You can learn more about the Enrollify Podcast Network at podcasts.enrollify.org. Our shows help higher ed marketers and admissions professionals find their next big idea. Find yours at podcasts.enrollify.org. Yeah. It's funny. I love that last bit of thought there too, on like determining what is your role in the meeting and how do you ensure that you are contributing enough so that why you're there makes sense, right? But then you're not overstepping. And I think that striking that balance is so difficult. Like I feel like most of us fall into like one extreme of the or the other. It's like we're either totally passive and we're thinking, why am I in this meeting? Why am I like, this is such a waste of my time? And not to say that like we don't have thoughts or don't have things that we could contribute, but it's just it's too much effort, right? Or we're on the other opposite end of the spectrum, which is we overshare, we overstep, and we end up derailing the purpose of the meeting because of the thing that we think is most important and or is the biggest issue. So I do think figuring out strategically, even if it's just asking yourself the question before you go into the meeting, like, okay, what is it that I'm going to bring to this meeting so that my time, my presence here was worth it? And how am I going to hold myself back? Or what are the things that I'm going to do to ensure that I'm not derailing things and or contributing appropriately? So for me anyways,
and saving my energy for things that matter. I mean, this is a lot of drain on you physically, mentally, emotionally, to pivot from topic to topic, meeting to meeting. And so there's only so much reserves you have that you can expend in a day. So where is that reserve going to be most valuable?
Yeah. Oh, good. I like that. Well, hey, I'm going to take that with me. So I appreciate that. But while we could probably talk about this and so many things all day, the reason I really wanted to get you on the show is you all recently launched a package of new programs that you guys, you and the team refer to as the new economy majors. And when we were chatting a couple weeks ago, preparing for this chat, I was so impressed by this, and I was hoping to just kind of kick things off, that you could kind of walk us through what these majors are and a little bit about the decision-making process behind why to launch this collection of new programs that you and the leadership team decided was important and timely. Can you just give us a little bit of the backstory around the new economy majors? And then I have a lot of questions on them specifically and how you guys are thinking about promoting them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that opportunity. So this may not be new to people, but when you work with anybody responsible for different programs, either program chairs or their marketing person or the department head or the college dean or whoever, they oftentimes when you meet with them, they really want your marketing help to get the word out about said program. Things they say typically are like, and this is not even limited to RIT. I feel like I've been around higher education enough to hear it from multiple people in multiple ways. It's like, oh, we are so unique. Our program is so unique. We just need to market it. Or once students find out about us, they love us. Or we are the best kept secret in higher education. Can you just help, share the secret out with the world? But we know that not each program can be its own brand. It can't even be its own self brand unless you have massive amounts of financial and human resources you can put behind it. So, and then the other issue is, we are called upon to do the fourth P of marketing, which hopefully everybody's familiar with the four P's, which is promotion. But really, this is about the product. Our programs are a product. So how do we get a better sense of what the product is? Is it a viable product? And is there demand for it? Is there interest for it? We can market and put all this money behind it if we had it, with that caveat. But, if there's no response to it. So we really came together, and really, no offense to really anybody who wants just what's best for their program. So how do we come together and solve this problem? And working with enrollment management and the academic affairs area, especially the provost, we thought about a fifth P, which again isn't new for marketers, although we don't talk about it as often, which is packaging. So we have a set of programs already, and they have a few things in common. But the issue is they are all in different colleges, so people are not talking to each other and whatnot. So we are coming together, bringing these groups together, bringing these programs together, and creating a packaging strategy around it. So that's what New Economy Majors is taking a set of existing programs. So we did not develop new programs from ground up. It's taking a set of existing programs and creating a packaging strategy for it. And I'm happy to talk about how we got to that name and that place and how we selected the programs. But that, in essence, is the concept behind New Economy Majors.
I think this is brilliant, by the way, and I love the fifth P. It's not something that I feel like the fifth P could be higher ed's like favorite P, because it's sort of like this. I mean, it's an incredible amount of work for sure, right? But like, it's like, hey, we're not trying to build something from the ground up. Everyone knows how difficult it is to launch new programs and new majors, but we're not trying to just dust off a program and call it something different, right? It's no, let's reimagine how we might group things together so that prospective students, or whatever the target audience is, might actually look at it really differently, right? And might actually like consider it when previously they wouldn't have looked at this major because it existed in the college of so and so, or the school of what's it called, and that school or that college they didn't particularly identify with, right, for whatever reason. So bringing it out on its own and packaging it within the context of this new collection is brilliant. I want you to unpack how you guys arrived at this decision in a little bit more detail. But first, if you don't mind, I want to read the positioning statement you guys have on like the landing page or the website page that talks about New Economy Majors. And I just want to read like one quote verbatim because I thought it was so well said. This is obviously like position. It's obviously crafted for the prospect, but what you all say is, and I quote, "We understand what you want. A career where you won't be pigeonholed or be narrowly defined. You want the freedom to play, to experiment, to explore. You want to think big and push boundaries. New Economy Majors will help you accomplish these goals and more." Immediately, you're resonating with the prospect. You're addressing their pain points, and you're introducing them to a concept and a way of thinking about school that is just so different. So, anyways, super well. Whoever crafted that, I want to give a high five to, because it's so well said. But can you walk us through how you all decided to develop this package? And I understand that there are sort of like 3 major pillars involved. Could you walk us through those major pillars?
Yeah, first of all, Zach, can you be our voice talent for this positioning? Because the way you narrated that was just on point. So that was very well said. I mean, I know the words are great, but you just breathe so much more life into it.
Anytime,
Okay,
Kin,
so
anytime.
so I might take a cut of this recording for that. So yeah, so to answer your question about pillars, we really wanted to make sure that the programs we selected we could have both quantifiable and quality attributes to discern how and which programs fit within this category. So the main things that we were looking at are these programs mission critical? Right? So, I mean, not that other programs are not, but there are some programs that are there to kind of create that well-rounded individual, and there are some programs that are just core to a university's mission, right? And so the idea was to make sure that are these programs hitting the sweet spot of RIT's brand, which is multidisciplinary, intersecting at technology, the arts and design, which is our brand sweet spot, and so on and so forth. So that's one way of assessing. The other is, does it build upon our legacy of outcomes? We talk about RIT always on to being something amazing, new, relevant, and historically and even now, RIT's outcomes rate have been extremely high, and we have confidence because our knowledge rate from people who graduate is also high. So it's not that we're taking a small percentage of people who respond about employment and then inflate that outcome rate number. And then future focused, we pride ourselves in being kind of a step ahead, and that's why our campaign and our brand creative expression is always on to something. So are these programs identified in secondary research, in World Economic Forum's reports and Bureau of Labor Statistics as these are the careers of the future, these are the skills of the future that we need, etc. So really looking at it from these angles, but also going to the quantifiable metrics, what we found was, and these are not really pillars, but more an assessment of what fits within the category, is, these programs don't get enough attention, but do they deserve that type of attention? Well, let's do that analysis. Yes, they do. Why? One, there's a high internal transfer rate. So that goes to show once students learn about these programs, or when they come on campus and they hear, oh, my friend Johnny or Susie or whatever is in this program, that's what I wanted to study. I didn't know about it. And they transfer. So most of these programs have internal transfer. We know they love it once they hear about it. The other was outcomes rate. We know the employers really want it. The biggest problem the graduates of these programs have is not whether or not I'll get a job. It's which job offer do I accept, because they have so many. I mean, imagine being a senior in college with 3 or 4 job offers in hand, right? And then the last one is really just about making sure that the yield on these programs is also really good. So, for instance, again, if we've taken the time to explain to these students and families what these programs are, and they have applied and they have deposited, that's when you know that, yes, these are viable. So these are all quantifiable metrics that we use. So we had a threshold for yield. They had to meet a minimum threshold for yield. We had a threshold for outcome rate, and we had a threshold for internal transfer rate. And then the other more softer metrics, if you will, were mission aligned, brand centric, and future focused. So combining all of these together is how we arrived at the 12 new economy majors.
Can you? That was amazing. Thanks for outlining all of that. Could you just rattle off like 2 or 3 of the majors, just so we have a sense for what kind of majors are we talking about here? I have an idea, and I'm sure our audience does as well. But like, what are 2 or 3 of the actual majors?
Yeah. So motion picture science, imaging science, robotics and manufacturing engineering. Let's see. I don't know if that helps. I can there's digital humanities.
Ooh.
So part of these things were, part of the issues were, these are programs that students don't learn about in high school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Counselors are not talking about it. Parents are like, what do you want to study again? Like, and things like that. And so it's part of the hurdle was just them not being exposed to future programs or future focused programs that are going to be in demand, because we are so used to people selecting some of the traditional routes that, okay, are you going to go into medical? Are you going to go into engineering? Are you going to go into, the arts, etc.? So that's really the extent of some people's knowledge, and we wanted to kind of expand that knowledge and help them understand there's a lot more here that will appeal to your interest, and also make sure that you're having fun while doing it, and also make sure you're gainfully employed.
Yeah. No, I love it, and I'm glad you mentioned digital humanities and social sciences too, because I think that sometimes, like, when obviously it seems like most of these programs are STEM programs and majors, which makes a lot of sense. But it's cool to see that it's not exclusively that, right? Like it's broader than just STEM programs, which I think is what whenever folks talk about sort of the new economy, that's sort of the default. And I think that like the way that you guys have packaged this in conjunction with other programs helps communicate to prospects that, hey, you can still be a part of the new economy. You can still be prepared for the new economy, even if you don't want to study engineering, right? So I love how you guys included additional programs there as well.
Yeah, I mean, these are really programs that are in all of our colleges. So they're not just in an engineering school. A couple of these are in a College of Art and Design. A couple of these are in the College of Liberal Arts. A couple of these are in health. So yeah, they range the gamut in terms of like the broader field of study, that it's not so narrow that it's all just STEM.
And how did you guys arrive at the quantity of majors that you would include? Because I would imagine, right, if I was a faculty member, and or even like someone on your admissions team, and I'm seeing which majors are being included and which ones aren't, I feel like there could be like a little bit of like, I don't know, like jealousy, or like why wasn't this program considered to be a new economy major, right? Like, what are we doing wrong? When they don't think we're relevant. So how did you guys sort of like arrive at the quantity of majors? And is there any like plan to sort of like expand that over the next couple of years here, or I guess what is the capacity of new economy majors?
Yeah, and that's why we had a very rigorous assessment process of what fits in this category. The thresholds that I talked about, the quantifiable metrics that I talked about, and also the fact that it elevates RIT's core essence and mission, etc. But yeah, the biggest problem that we face, which is a good problem to have, is people coming to us and asking, well, could this program be a new economy major?
Yeah.
And so that showed that they had interest in it, that they cared enough about it, that they saw that this had potential. And what we said at the time, and continue to say it, like this is this is a pilot or a beta approach. This list is not set in stone. This is for us to have a starting point so that once we launch the marketing plan and related admissions efforts, we can measure the success and understand really, that this is an idea that is going to work before we just make this into something that everybody latches onto. So we have to kind of test that for ourselves. And the number 12 was a little arbitrary, I will say that, but we wanted it to be enough to make it a package, right? You can't have a package of just two things. But at the same time, we didn't want to lose individual programs in that set either, because then if it's endlessly expandable, it kind of becomes all your programs. And then the idea of packaging and positioning is lost, because then you're trying to be everything to everybody kind of idea, right? So that's, and we have 11 colleges, not that we were trying to pick one from every college. In fact, I don't think we had one from every college, but it just felt like a manageable number. And then we wanted an even number because it's stacked very nicely on our website. That was the least of our concerns. I will say that. That is not even an issue.
Yeah. Oh no, that's wonderful. I appreciate you outlining all of this for us. So I'm curious, how have you all started? I know this is still relatively new, but like, how have you all started promoting new economy majors, and like, what is the marketing of these of this collection looked like, and what if anything have you learned thus far about how the promotion and the packaging of these new majors has gone?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with any marketing campaign or planning, I think we try to always think integrated marcom effort, right? We are not going to just deploy just marketing or just communications. We are going to try and see if we can hit all our peso channels, paid, earned, shared, and owned. So first and foremost, we had to have a web page designated to this effort, and so people understood what this was. By the way, we knew people would understand if they took the time for it, because we tested the name with associated creative with prospective students and families before launching it. So that was another data point used as we worked with our friends in different areas and different colleges. That the name was not up for debate. Not that we said that, but it was more about just saying like, hey, we've done our due diligence even on what we should be calling it. And the name is actually a lift from the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report, where they talk about what the post-pandemic or the new economy needs. And so so that's where we borrowed that term, and it felt very fitting for what we're trying to do here.
Well,
anyway,
sorry, just a quick note on that, Kin. As you were talking, I was verifying this, 'cause when we were talking a couple weeks ago, I was Googling as we were talking, and I wanted to verify this again. But you all are also, like, RIT's ranking number 1 for like majors for the new economy and new economy majors, and what should I major in for jobs in the new economy, and like the monthly search volume on these terms is still like relatively small, but it's growing quickly month over month. So it's a brilliant move. It is just sorry. I just wanted to call out the name in and of itself is just a brilliant name. But go on.
Thank you. Yeah, so there was a lot of SEO work done behind the scenes. Now that since you mentioned that, just to make sure that if people are not even searching for that they get to that idea of future focused majors and new economy majors. And this is now a trademark term even for us. So we want to own this for sure. But so we did a press release that got picked up in mainly higher ed trade pubs like University Business. It was the lead story there. But we really wanted to use our own accounts and owned media to make sure that we were optimizing all the avenues we had at our disposal So whether it's the program pages, all of these 12 programs say in the beginning that this is a new economy major, and then you can click on that hyperlink there and it will tell you what that is. And then college pages, our own social media, etc. And when we were launching a reputation campaign, we like to use we just don't talk about ourselves, right? We want to be able to show stories and be able to say, okay, here's the proof in what we are saying, and by the way, we want you to reach that conclusion yourself and connect the dots. So putting new economy majors as one of the content ideas for advertising campaign kind of help people connect the dots between RIT really being this university that's on the move. We didn't want to say we are the university on the move, we wanted to show it. And then admissions materials, open houses, webinars, president's report. I mean, we were firing on all cylinders because there was just an institutional buy-in to this idea, because we knew not only would it help lift the individual majors, it would actually elevate our brand overall, because now RIT is being regarded, and we actually have our brand study that was in the field a few months ago. We just got that report. It's hot off the press, and we kind of tested a few things around this idea of being future focused and prepared for the new economy, prepared for the emerging world, etc. And we tested those, and we get a lot of credit for that. And I think it's all due to this. So just understanding, talking about what we learned through this process, it's the fact that, you feel like you're working on just a select number of programs. I mean, we offer like 300 programs and we are working on just 12. But what it did for RIT reputation overall cannot be overstated here. So it's really just something that I want to remind people, that a brand is a sum of all of its parts, and the products is really the essence of who we are. I mean, sometimes it's price, sometimes it's place, and the pandemic has shown us maybe place isn't as big of a value prop as perhaps some of the other P's are, but your programs are your products and your people, right? Your faculty. And so if you give them their deserved attention, it can not only do wonders for that particular area, but it can do so much for the institution overall.
Yeah. I mean, this is just so, it's just so smart, Kin. And I think why I appreciate this a lot in particular, is that there has been a lot of progress made in marketing, getting having more influence within the context of an institution. You and I know lots of folks like Terry Flannery and many others who have done a lot of work to help elevate the position of marketing and give marketing a seat at the leadership table and all that fun stuff. And for many folks, it's we're all trending in the right direction. But what I love about what you guys have done is this is like, okay, if you can't have control today over all of your product offerings, right? And or if it's going to be too resource intensive to just spin up a lot of additional product in the next couple years for whatever reason, what you all just did is the answer, right? Like this is like the third way. We talk about it as the fifth P, and it's the third way. It's like, if you can't control product, and or if the barrier to launching something new is just too grand for when you need to show results, or when you need to pivot or re-express your brand, then this is another way of doing it, right? And still getting a lot of that same sort of momentum that you might get with launching something brand new, a lot of the same internal buy-in and excitement of, you've got the president, and I'm sure even current students now saying, "Ooh, what are these new economy majors?" Right? Like, and it's doing something publicly outside of the context of the institution, but also inspiring that same kind of energy or a similar energy on the inside, in the same way that a new brand campaign or the launch of a brand new suite of program offerings might. So I just think that this is such a beautiful example of like higher ed marketing units really being creative and doing their job well. So I just want to commend you and the team for this work, because it's just such a great example for how to take limited resources or a challenging situation, or and really make it work for you and ultimately work for the institution.
Thank you so much, Zach, for saying that. I mean, it is in fact just that. It's if you don't have the resources to do something at an individual component level, can you be resourceful? And what does that resourcefulness look like? And this was successful not just for the numbers we saw and those types of things, but really just breaking down silos and working across colleges, because we know that students are not shopping for individual colleges, and that's our org structure, but that's really not how the buying decisions are made. And so it's a great lesson in kind of bringing related offerings together despite where they sit. And we are doing something similar now, a teaser there for gaming as well. We have we have a lot of strengths in gaming area. We have our esports team is very, very popular, and they win so many championships. We offer a game design program. We offer great game development program. We have a commercialization aspect to our games where they work with industry partners and they kind of launch games in the app store and things like that. There's just so much around it. And if we were to kind of promote each of those aspects individually, I can't even imagine how long that would take. But now we're putting this, again, a wrapper around all things gaming at RIT. And we're working through that right now. And once we launch it, we'll see the results. But that will just show the magnitude of what we do and the impact that we can have, and perhaps, become one of the leading. I mean, we already rank really well for some of our gaming academic programs. So perhaps we get the reputation and recognition for being one of the leading institutions for gaming, period. Whether it's to study gaming, whether it's to play, whether it's to do it for research, whether it's to commercialize it. So we're trying to do something around that too. But I would give kudos to my partners in crime and enrollment management and academic affairs, that we've really triangulated this effort in such an important, strategic, thoughtful way that it just felt like, okay, these are the kind of meetings, going back to meetings, these are the kind of meetings I want to be in, and really, really help think about how to advance RIT forward.
Yeah. Yeah. This is wonderful. It's also just a smart, like, it's just a really smart SEO play. Like, I'm thinking, like, as you're talking about gaming, right? It's like, all right, yes, you have individual program pages that might be ranking well for specific majors or programs within gaming. But what about the students, right? Like, we say this all the time, like the college search for students, it starts with Google, right? Like, it starts with search. And so thinking about students that might just type in something as broad as like game major or majoring in gaming for college or whatever it is, like, as you guys think about wrapping these additional programs under some additional brand like new economy major,
right?
The SEO play there, the search play, is just brilliant in and of itself. Forget anything else. Like, just the fact that you will have structured content in a way that is already ranking well, probably publishing some new content around that particular new term. That's just such a smart, like, SEO move, if for nothing else. So I love that.
Yeah, and then making sure we are cross-linking that from all related gaming aspects, right? So all of these pages take you to this one-stop shop, and the content is optimized, and I mean, we really have put in a lot of work on SEO, and it definitely is a part of our marketing plan is to really think about, okay, does it need its own SEO content article, or what are those things that we need in order to look at, what are we doing on SEM side, but what are we doing on SEO side as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Ken, my final question for you is just around like, if you could do this over again, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
for somebody tuning in, right, that's like, oh my gosh, this is super helpful. Thank you so much, Ken. I'm going to go blow up your DMs on Twitter after this. But like for somebody who is interested in doing something similar and is in a position where they might actually be able to do something like this, what advice would you give around what to be sure to do? And then what, if anything, if you could go back, would you have done differently?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, making sure there are some quantifiable criteria. I think if this is going to be something that you do to bring related offers together, you kind of have to put some parameters around that,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
what fits in that in that category and what doesn't. The clearer that process is, the lesser hurdles you have in terms of deciding what does and does not belong and where that might belong instead. I think that would be something to really consider and think about, because I think doing that upfront really helped us to kind of say that, okay, here's what we are focusing on, but here's what we can do for some of the other things. So I think it helps kind of have those conversations. It's also important to really just understand that each program chair, or each program rather, they will want to see what's in it for them, right? And that's okay, because that's their goal and that's what they're trying to accomplish. They're not trying to bring down this effort. They're just trying to say, well, but my program is a little different because, and so kind of giving them tools to be able to showcase that differentiation. In fact, one of the next steps to take this category further is for us to have an individual program level strategy under this new economy majors umbrella.
ah,
So each one knows what their pitch is, because
yeah,
we
yeah.
know the new economy majors pitch, but each of the programs is still trying to figure out what their pitch is. I mean, they will still continue to talk about being future focused and multidisciplinary and high outcome rate, etc. But then what are the core components of that program that are different? Because we know, like, a packaging science major is very different from a microelectronic engineering major, but they both are new economy majors. So what is their pitch? And so working through that with them and helping them understand, and that will be a part of that process. So yeah, those are some things that come to mind, and just being very open to changing. I mean, we thought we were going to actually launch with 10 or 14, and then we came at 12, and that's okay. I mean, it's not a hard and fast kind of like package deal kind of thing that this is
Yeah.
what you get and that's it. And we're not trying to be extremely rigid either. It's a little bit of a pilot, so use it as a way to test the marketplace. You don't have to get it right out of the gate. You can you can launch it and see how the marketplace is reacting to it. In fact, we did some A/B testing with the new economy majors messaging when we launched our advertising campaign, and we kind of tweaked and finessed our messaging based on that. So, some of the things that I hope that we are already always doing, like testing and bringing people together and being flexible and being data driven, etc. So I don't know if that's helpful, but yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and this has been wonderful, Kin, and I think that again, you guys have done such a great job. I think that this is a model that many can and should replicate in their respective contexts. And yeah, just wanna commend you and the team for all the great hard work here. For folks who want to get in touch and ask you some follow-up questions and or just connect with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, they can either drop me an email and they can find me in the RIT directory, kin@rit.edu, or I'm very active on Twitter. That's where you and I found each other.
Yeah.
I'm at Kin Sejpal, KINSEJPAL. My DMs are always open there. So yeah, that would be, I think, one of the best ways to get a hold of me for now. Unless Twitter changes down the road, we'll see.
The jury is still out. No, wonderful. Yeah, and we'll go ahead and link your handle in the show notes and your email as well. So if folks want to just, if you're listening to this and you are inspired and you want to get some additional context, feel free to reach out to Kin directly. But thank you so much for your time. This has been a joy. And again, back to the meetings. I seriously, taking notes as we're chatting, and I'm gonna sort of change my behavior a little bit in my meetings for tomorrow and see how that pans out. But thanks again for
it's a work in progress. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't think I mastered it myself.
Yeah. Well, thanks for all that you do for the community, and looking forward to staying in touch.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for everything you're doing to provide training and education and just getting the word out on all the things people do in higher education and in enrollment and in marketing. So appreciate the opportunity today.
Hey y'all, Zach here from Enrollify. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Enrollify Podcast. If you liked this episode, do us a huge favor and hit that follow and subscribe button below. Furthermore, if you've got just 2 minutes to spare, we would greatly appreciate you leaving a rating and a review of this show on Apple Podcasts. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, admissions, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks that are all designed to empower you to become a better higher ed professional. But Enrollify is far more than just a podcast network. Enrollify is where higher ed comes to learn new marketing skills, discover new products and services, and find their next job. We're a growing, learning community of 4,000 members, and we'd love to welcome you into the fold. You can access our free blog articles, newsletters, e-courses, and more, or purchase our master course on how to market a university with Terry Flannery at Enrollify.org. We look forward to meeting you soon and welcoming you into the community. Again, you can subscribe for free at Enrollify.org.